Greetings, mind crafters, and welcome to another Mindcraft discussion today. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am here to talk about all things brainy, how to become the boss of your brain. And I'm also applying these, not that I don't love to nerd out, but to, applying this to everyday life stuff. And so today, the conversation is about awakening the sleeping beauty within. So another shout out goes out to Sarah Von Brednick. I'm on a Sarah kick right now. She's the author of Simple Abundance, and I love it because it's a daily thing, and you can just dip in anywhere, and it just seems to be exactly what you need to hear. So anyway, she starts out with a quote by Mary McCarthy, which says, "We are the hero of our own story. We are the hero of our own story." It's interesting just how the universe works. Because this is just in the air with me lately, narratives and reframing. And I just did a podcast with my friend, Dr. Tom Myers, it was on something, well, very related, but spirituality, meaning, and purpose. And he was talking about how we have these stories, we just run these narratives through our mind. And if that's positive, that's a great thing because positive emotion leads to positive experiences. Though, sadly, more often than not, we sort of, collect injuries like we might collect wildflowers in Vermont in the summer, just picking one after the other till we have a huge big bouquet of, pain. And then we kind of identify with it and it becomes part of the hard drive, just like in a computer, rather than something um a little more removable that we can release, which it really is, more like a splinter that we can take out. It might be pink and pussy and infected and all that. And it might hurt to take it out too, right? We're super used to that splinter being there, even though it hurts, also hurts being in our foot. It hurts to take it out, to let go of it because we've held on to it for so long. Yet after that, sort of immediate pain goes away, it's gone forever. It's really gone forever. And so this is just definitely one of my favorite conversations to have because I can also, if you know the backstory, I can really relate to it. And so Sarah starts out by saying, "In every one of us, there lies a sleeping beauty waiting to be awakened through love. Because she has slumbered for so long, she must be awakened very gently. But instead of waiting for Prince Charming to storm the palace gates, you must summon the magic powers of your authentic self to break any cruel enchantment that has left you unaware of your own glory." I love how she relates, the early toxic messages we get, many of us. Of course, there's no such thing as a perfect family. We know that. These and that she sort of equates that to enchantment, which makes you think of spell, because we do get kind of spellbound. We get wrapped up in until we believe it, almost as if I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. It's almost as if, like we are under a spell in a way because we're believing that, then we turn into that, right? Because beliefs are just thoughts we think over and over and over again. And so we believe them, and that's when they come into our hard drive, and then sadly we begin to attract more of the same messages. That is just how it works. And I have to say, I also love how in the very first sentence, Sarah talks about, in every one of us, there lies a sleeping beauty waiting to be awakened through love. And I'm a big fan of love, of course. And love is truly the anti venom for shame, which is really what takes us down. I've had this conversation so many times in so many different contexts. It's not the ADHD, the addiction, the anxiety, depression, bipolar, whatever that takes us down. It's not all the trauma that takes us down. It's the shame underneath, that underlying excruciating, toxic, like as in poison, feeling of being flawed and defective in some way, not enough, damaged goods. And love is the anti-venom for that. I think of like a snake bite, right? It's rattlesnake or copperhead or something when they give you the anti-venom, and shame, of course, being the snake bite. And love is truly the anti-venom. It can just heal us and get us right back in shape and, to our, right back on track with our authentic selves and being feeling whole and complete. So then Sarah continues. She says, "Let me tell you a story about a pretty girl I knew when I was young. Once upon a time, there was a garbage strike in our town. For weeks, the garbage piled up in front of trim suburban homes. One day, a photographer from a newspaper drove up in front of a house and asked if there were any children present. He wanted to photograph children near the garbage pile to emphasize how much had accumulated. The little girl was shyly standing behind her mother when he came to the door, so she was selected and propped up on piles of garbage for the photograph. After the photograph was printed in the newspaper, some children in the schoolyard taunted the little girl by calling her just a pile of garbage. Man, let's just say that again, by calling the little girl, quote, just a pile of garbage, end quote. In order to handle this public humiliation, she became numb to her beauty for a very long time. Sitting on the pile of garbage was the same thing as pricking her finger on a spindle and falling into a deep sleep. I just, this whole analogy, whether whoever's listening, male, female, anywhere in between, not even the point, right? Princess, prince, or whatever in between is not, it's just the point is, we all know what it's like to get pricked by a spindle. It says, what is your spindle in your, I know I grew up with two alcoholic parents and a lot of mental illness and a pretty large dose of narcissism with one of them. And that that for the majority of my life, I was really kind of working at that and kind of figuring out how to see my own value. And again, I'm saying this just to help people. I'm long over all that, healed, wonderfully healed. And the only reason I share is so that maybe I can, help, someone who's listening. If I even help one person who's listening, my work is done here. And I had so many people sharing with me along my path and wrapping love around me like a burrito and mirroring my own value, which I was unable to see for a long time. And then it's amazing because it really does the trick. It is that dose of anti-venom that just eradicates the shame. So that Sarah goes on to say it's hard to tell our bad luck from our good luck sometimes. Hard to tell sometimes for many years to come, writer Merle Shane gently reminds us. And most of us have wept copious tears over someone or something when, if we'd understood the situation better, we might have celebrated our good fortune instead. Very powerful. Right. This is so true. When we look back, adversity, it's a tough sell when we're in it for sure, and wow, is it good for redirection and focusing, just clarity. And I know for me, with my parents' situation, I had some life circumstances. This goes back ages, a couple of decades ago, that were, pretty challenging at that time. And um the blessing there was that I really kind of got quote unquote sober with I don't mean that with substances. I'm saying it like metaphorically speaking to what was going on because there's a difference between being a little challenging or a little prickly and being actually toxic. I mean, like drinking turpentine for breakfast daily instead of orange juice, and that had been my whole life story. But the thing is, we can get very comfortable being treated badly because that's what we know, especially with parents because we trust them and they're there when we get there, obviously. And I don't mean it with any kind of anything. And I just was like, it was a very adult, clear decision that I bounced off my cabinet, as I would call them, my wonderful husband and my chosen family and everything. And um, it was just with extreme clarity that I said, no, you didn't make the cut, and I'm done. And it was a very healthy go with God. I don't wish anybody any harm ever. That is not in my heart ever. I wouldn't just not invite anything like that. And it was release, and it was a huge. I can't even tell you how much I blossomed and grew once I released my toxic parents. And again, to go with God, go do your thing. I wish you only good things. But I think what she talks about, sometimes we can't always tell in the moment. This is, bad circumstances, or if there's actually a bless in the mess, as they say, which there often is with adversity, even though again it's a very tough sell. in the moment sometimes. And so, whether it's a job loss and you loved it, you loved the people, the salary, it was comfortable, good school system, whatever, whatever. And then you look back 10 years later after you went through the mud, you're like, wow, I wouldn't have be where I am now, or I wouldn't have met this person, or whatever, whatever. And in the end, again, tough sell in it. In the end, the dots do connect though, and um, it works out in our favor. And so Sarah continues. She said, if that young girl had not pricked her finger, would she have retreated to her bed every afternoon and sought comfort in the world of books? When she became older, would she have studied theater to learn the secrets of make believe? Would she have traveled to London and Paris to write about fashion in order to learn about style? I think not, and I should know. And then Sarah asked us, what was your spindle? And you know what? We talked about no family's perfect, right? We've all got something in us that's broken and beautiful. And that's because I don't like to say we're broken, but we it's true. We are broken in some ways. We're on this earth to learn how to love ourselves better first and then others, because we can't do what we don't know. We can't give what we don't have, the whole thing. So it's really all about learning how to love better, us and other people. And in order to do that, there's going to be bumps in the road, right? Because otherwise there's no challenge, and we don't grow. And so even if your family was pretty good, and if you're if you're an adult now, or certainly in midlife, or I'm a fabulous 58, you've probably been around the block a few times, and everybody's got something. Even if you had a pretty good ride, it's just how it works. So she says, what was your spindle, right? What was your spindle? Was there a moment when you pricked yourself and fell into a deep slumber? Um, or did you just slowly shut down? Perhaps the cruel enchantment was caused by overly critical parents, by a devastating breakup, or by a numbing reliance on food, drugs, or alcohol. Gosh, I mean, I've at a fabulous 58, and I just know enough people, and I've had so many students, and I've just been out there and done workshops, and people come and talk to me afterwards, which is my favorite part of the whole thing. I mean, I love flying around stage, and I just also love when they pass their microphone around. I get to actually get to know people, and then when they stay after and share this and share that, everybody has got a pain point. Everybody. I don't care how good your family was. And then you've got, the whole spectrum of that. A pretty good family all the way to the other end, which is, abuse and trauma and things like that. And then there's a whole middle where there's a mix, and that can honestly be tougher sometimes, because that's the whole trauma bonding family, where it's a mix of loved you and also, abused or mistreated somebody, and then the child's totally confused. So everybody's got something. And then she says, it's time to awaken, Sleeping Beauty. Your creativity, imagination, and authentic sense of style are far superior to any sorcerer's spell, no matter how strong. One can never change the past. Sorry, let's start that over. One can never change the past, only the hold it has on you. Merle Shane reassures us. And while nothing in your life is reversible, you can reverse it nevertheless. I love that. So here's the thing, we're not talking about pretending like something didn't happen. That's pathology, and that's not healthy, right? Reframing is different. And I tell my mind crafters frequently through the semester, just frequently, exactly this. I'm a big fan of skills. Talents are good too. We love all the Olympians and the Mozarts and the Vincent Van Goghs and the everything, the Leonardo da Vinci's, and you don't have to be famous to do this either, right? We love all the talent. Some of us have natural athletic talent, maybe not on the level of Michael Jordan, but in high school you were pretty good, that sort of thing. But skills are and skills. You have it both together is the perfect recipe. But also skills I love, because I know that I can watch somebody else practice, read, research something, and I can choose to become better at it. Even if it's a character thing, like it's more confident, it's more positive, develop a growth mindset. We can sort of emulate somebody who's further down whatever said path and become better. Or it can be guitar or whatever. But I love that. So we can become better at the skill of reframing. So whatever your childhood looked like, in a sense, I used to have a button that said this, "It's never too late to have a happy childhood." And that's because we can reframe whatever happened, no matter how terrible, and tweeze and cherry pick the growth that happened from it. It doesn't mean I want to relive it. It doesn't mean any of those people get a pass. Absolutely not. We are releasing with love and kindness, just like I did with my parents, releasing with love and kindness. I'm very grateful for who I am today because of everything that happened in my childhood. And, all that adversity, again, I wouldn't want to relive it for sure. It was not easy at times. And I'm also grateful for all the good people who wrapped around me like burritos of love. And I wouldn't change any of it. So reframing is the key. Reframing, we talked about this in recent podcasts with pessimists and optimists. Optimists are really good reframers because they tweeze out how I can grow, how I can learn, how I can become stronger, how I can become more empathetic. And when life throws us curveballs, well, right there's the answer. And we can choose to rewrite that script. We're not saying rewrite what happened. Again, that's pathological, but to rewrite how we tell the narrative of what happened. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I loved this conversation so much. And so thank you all for listening. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from a wonderfully contemplative, rainy day in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.